Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're really zeroing in on one of those moments in the NFL season that just, well, it sends ripples, doesn't it? The trade deadline.
That's right. And specifically, we've got some great source material on the drama around what didn't happen.
Exactly, the almost trade.
Our mission today is to unpack that. We want to take you inside, as much as we can, into that negotiation between the Kansas City Chiefs and the New York Jets over running back Breece Hall.
Because it's not just that the trade failed. It's the why that tells us so much, I think, about team needs, about value, about desperation versus maybe financial prudence.
Precisely. It's a fascinating case study.
Okay, so let's set the stage because the context here is everything. You've got the Chiefs,
Yeah.
right? Usually dominant Super Bowl contenders, but they're sitting at 5-4. That's shaky ground for them.
Especially after a really tough AFC loss to the Bills. That one stung.
And the sources we looked at, they paint a picture of a team looking, maybe even feeling, a bit desperate for some kind of offensive spark before that Tuesday deadline. They needed something to take the load off Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, when a team that successful starts looking vulnerable, every potential move gets put under the microscope, doesn't it? And the need wasn't just, theoretical, it was very practical.
Tell us about that. Why running back, specifically? What was happening internally?
Well, look at the moves they made right before the deadline talk heated up. Their starter, Isaiah Pacheco, he was banged up, dealing with an injury.
Okay.
And their depth was thin enough that they actually had to call up Clyde Edwards-Helaire, a veteran, from the practice squad just for cover.
Right. That alone tells you something's up.
Exactly. It's like a flashing red light saying, we have an immediate problem in our running game. They needed someone reliable, someone high caliber, basically now.
And that search leads them straight to Breece Hall.
Ah.
But they hit a wall pretty quick. And it wasn't like they were miles apart, was it? It came down to something really specific.
Agonizingly specific. It was the difference between one draft pick and the next one down.
Okay, lay it out for us. What was the offer? What was the demand?
The Chiefs put a fourth-round pick on the table. The Jets, according to the reporting from SNY's Connor Hughes, were absolutely steadfast in wanting a third-round pick.
Just one round difference, a third versus a fourth.
Yep, and neither side would budge. So the Chiefs walked away.
But hang on. If you're the Chiefs, you're 5-4. That Super Bowl window feels maybe a little tighter this year. Why are you haggling over a mid-round pick like that? Isn't getting the player who helps you win now the absolute priority? Seems like a small price.
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And it gets right to the heart of team-building philosophy. From the Chiefs' perspective, maybe they felt a third was just too steep for potentially a rental, but you have to see it from the Jets' side, too.
Okay, explain the Jets' thinking then. Why dig in so hard for that third?
For a team like the Jets, who are clearly in a rebuild phase we'll get more into, that a third-round pick isn't just a pick. It's a significant future asset. The statistical likelihood of finding a starter, or at least a key contributor, jumps up quite a bit, moving from the fourth to the third round.
So it's not a linear increase in value. It's more exponential.
You could say that. For the Jets, that third rounder is a potential cornerstone for their future. It's a building block. For the Chiefs, maybe they see a fourth as depth, a lottery ticket, something less essential than immediate on-field production.
Okay, I see. So different timelines, different priorities. The Chiefs need help for the next few months. The Jets are thinking about the next few years.
Exactly. The Jets likely saw the Chiefs' situation, maybe sensed that desperation you mentioned, and tried to leverage it to get the maximum future value. And they decided that value was a third-round pick, nothing less.
Which brings us right back to Breece Hall. Let's talk about him. Why was he the guy? What makes this particular 24-year-old running back worth potentially derailing trade talks over a single draft pick?
Because he's not just any running back. He's a proven commodity, a second-round pick himself back in 2022, so he's got the draft pedigree. He's young, relatively low mileage. This isn't some journeyman fill-in.
Right. Let's get into the specifics, the numbers. What does he bring to the table?
Okay, so career-wise, you're looking at just under 3,000 rushing yards, 2,914 to be exact, on 619 carries, 16 touchdowns on the ground. That's solid production.
Very solid.
But here's the kicker, especially for a team like the Chiefs with Andy Reid's offense, his receiving ability, he's a genuine dual threat. He's got almost 1,500 receiving yards, 4,470, and another 8 touchdowns through the air.
Wow. So he's not just a runner. He's a weapon out of the backfield in the passing game.
Hmm.
That fits perfectly with what Mahomes needs, right? A safety valve, another option.
Absolutely. He's that security blanket, and he has the speed to break off big plays. And think about this. The sources point out he already managed 3 100-yard rushing games this season alone.
For the Jets, who haven't exactly
no.
been lighting it up offensively.
Exactly. He's producing at a really high level despite, let's be honest, playing in a pretty tough situation with a struggling offense around him. That shows you the individual talent.
Yeah, you can definitely see the appeal for Kansas City. I saw one fan comment somewhere saying he would have been their best RB in a long time. Maybe hyperbole, maybe not, but it shows the perception. He was seen as potential instant fix.
A significant, immediate upgrade, someone who could change how defenses play against them, take some pressure off Mahomes and the receivers.
Okay, so we understand the Chiefs' motivation. Now, let's pivot back to the Jets, because their situation is just as crucial to understanding why this whole thing fell apart. Why were they even willing to discuss trading a young, talented player like Hall?
Right, because that context is key. This wasn't happening in a vacuum. The sources make it clear the Jets were in the middle of a major organizational shift. A teardown, really.
How so?
Well, around the same time, they executed these huge blockbuster trades, moving cornerstone defensive players Sauce Gardner and Quinnen Williams.
Whoa, okay. Trading away guys like Gardner and Williams, that's not just tinkering. That's hitting the reset button hard, like a full-on fire sale.
It absolutely screams rebuild. You don't trade away young, elite defensive talent like that if you think you're competing anytime soon. They were clearly stockpiling future assets, draft picks namely.
And that kind of move must send shockwaves through the locker room, right? What was the feeling among the remaining players, like Hall?
You nailed it. And we actually got a glimpse of that. Breece Hall himself had a reaction online, though he later deleted the post.
What did he say?
According to USA Today, which captured it, he posted something like, "Sick about my Brutas, man happy for them, but man, I'm sick, Gorn."
Wow. Sick right now. That's pretty raw.
It really is. It shows you the human side, the frustration when you see your team seemingly giving up on the season, trading away your talented teammates. It suggests the morale probably wasn't great, and the organization was prioritizing the future over the present, maybe even over player sentiment.
So, connecting the dots. The Jets trading away defensive stars, Hall being upset. It reinforces why they were so dug in on that third-round pick for Hall, doesn't it?
Absolutely. They weren't operating from a position of trying to win games this year. Their goal was maximizing the return for any asset they were willing to part with. Hall became essentially another piece of draft capital to fuel the rebuild.
And their third-rounder was their non-negotiable price tag for that piece.
Precisely. They set their price, likely based on the Chiefs' perceived need, and they stuck to it. And the Chiefs, despite that need, they drew their own line. They decided Hall wasn't worth that specific future asset.
Which leads us perfectly into the fallout. The trade doesn't happen. What was the reaction, especially from the Chiefs side, from the fan base? Because this feels like a moment that would really polarize people.
Oh, it absolutely did. And this is where you really see that tension play out in public forums. The fan reaction, based on the sources, split almost immediately and very sharply into 2 distinct camps.
Okay, let's hear about Camp 1, the panic button camp.
You could call it that. The panic and desperation camp. The reaction was swift and pretty brutal. The core feeling was, essentially, how could you not make this deal?
What was their reasoning?
Purely focused on the immediate need. You're the Chiefs, you're 5-4, you have Patrick Mahomes, your window is now. How do you let a potential game changer like Hall slip away over 1 pick difference?
Yeah, I can practically hear the calls to sports radio. People saying things like, the Chiefs' season is over now.
Yeah.
Questioning the front office's priorities.
Exactly. We saw that quote. The Chiefs had a need today and wouldn't budge based on what? It's that sense of frustration. Why prioritize a future mid-round, maybe over a definite now solution? It felt like a failure to seize the moment.
Okay, so that's one side. What about the other camp? The ones defending the Chiefs' decision not to trade the third-rounder.
Right, the counter-argument. Let's call them the prudence camp. Their perspective was much more focused on long-term asset management and, frankly, the nature of the running back position itself.
How so? What was their take?
They argued the Chiefs were actually smart to steer clear at that price. The thinking here is that running backs, even talented ones like Hall, can often be seen as short-term rentals.
Why short-term? Because of injuries, contract situations, shelf life.
All of the above. The running back position is notoriously volatile. Careers can be short, second contracts are often tricky. So the argument goes, why invest a premium asset like a third-round pick, which could become a long-term starter at another position for a player who might only give you a year or two of peak production at a position with a limited lifespan?
So it's about positional value and return on investment. Is a running back, even a good one, worth that high a pick compared to, say, an offensive lineman or a defensive back you might get in the third round?
That's precisely the debate. The prudence camp felt the Chiefs made the shrewd, albeit perhaps unpopular decision by not overpaying for a position they view as less foundational or durable long-term.
It really is that classic dilemma, isn't it? The immediate sugar rush versus long-term financial health, but in football terms. Win now at potentially high future cost, or protect the future even if it hurts right now?
Perfectly put. And the Chiefs' front office, by walking away, made a clear statement about where their priorities landed in this specific instance. They chose asset protection over immediate reinforcement, at least at that specific price point.
So the dust settles, no deal. The Chiefs needed help. The Jets wanted a specific price. Stalemate.
A dramatic standstill, really. The Chiefs needed that production, that boost for their offense sitting at 5-4, but they hit their limit on what they were willing to pay. The Jets, eyes firmly on the future rebuild, wouldn't take a penny less than their target price, that third rounder.
And now the consequences are locked in, right? The trade deadline's passed.
Yeah.
Chiefs have to move forward with the roster they have.
That's it. They're heading into their Week 10 bye. Then they face the Broncos on November 16th. No Breece Hall coming through that door. They have to rely on who's in the building.
Which brings us to that final thought, that lingering question we always like to leave our listeners with. By saving that third-round pick, did the Chiefs make the smart, prudent play for the sustained health of the franchise, protecting future flexibility? Or did they just roll the dice on their Super Bowl chances this year? Did they essentially bet the season on Isaiah Pacheco getting healthy fast and playing at a high level, and on Clyde Edwards-Helaire stepping up significantly from the practice squad? That feels like a pretty big gamble now.
It's the ultimate trade-off, isn't it? The immediate potential gain versus the long-term calculated risk. We won't know the answer until January or February.
We certainly won't. And that's what makes watching the rest of their season so compelling now. Thank you for digging deep into this one with us. We've really unpacked a lot about strategy and pressure.
My pleasure. It was a fascinating non-trade to analyze.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We definitely encourage you, the listener, to check out the source materials yourself. Until next time on The Deep Dive.